Perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, today we are joined by a very talented young man. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the crowd?
How you doing? I'm Jonah Feingold, the writer-director of Dating in New York.
Yes, and Dating in New York is an excellent romantic comedy that we had the pleasure of seeing at Tribeca Film Festival this year. Jonah, I wanted to start by saying that I find this romantic comedy to be very much contemporary and an excellent way for people to look at a modern romantic comedy. Would you agree that this is very much like a Harry Met Sally for the millennials?
100% would agree with that, and it's what we were going for. We wanted to make a movie that spoke to our generation, people who are looking at Instagram feeds and wondering, is a person single or not, and, texting their friends that they met the person, the love of their life, but taking, of course, from the classics, like When Harry Met Sally and, Shop Around the Corner and His Girl Friday, and just sort of reinventing it.
I think that you did exactly that, if that was your goal. Can you talk about your two young leads, Jacoby and Francesca?
100%. So Jabuki and Francesca are amazing young actors, both very different in style. Jabuki comes from a comedy background. I saw him in a Netflix film called Someone Great, and I thought he stole the scene. And I just thought he had this perfect quality of someone that you wanted to be friends with and that you would trust, but also who's going to fall madly in love with someone and leave you on the night to go hang out with that person in a good way. You'd be happy for him if he did that. And then Francesca, who plays Wendy, I had seen her in a Stranger Things project as well, a Netflix project as well called Stranger Things. And I thought she just had this amazing energy and presence, and you could just sort of see in her eyes that she was meant to play this, she could be amazing at this Wendy character and do great alongside Jabuki. And so I got very lucky with their chemistry, and their relationship is sort of exactly what I wanted it to be.
I love Someone Great. I thought that movie was really, really fun. So I'm glad that you picked Jabuki out. And I'm just a huge rom-com guy. I'm just a huge fan of romantic comedy. So the fact that I could see the references that you were going for throughout the film were making me so happy when I was watching it, because there's a sensibility to this film, Jonah, that is at perfect times contemporary, but at other times it draws on its inspirations really, really well, and that's so hard to do. How do you balance that as a writer and a director?
That's well, first, thank you, and that's something I was obsessed with. I think as a director, my passion in speaking to all filmmakers here, we all want to be our own unique voice. We all want to, everyone tells you, what's your voice? And it's such a daunting question. And you sort of look at filmmakers that you admire, and you want to mimic their voice. And then you realize those filmmakers you admire are actually mimicking other people. Spielberg with Hitchcock, and David Lean, and Quentin Tarantino with everyone. And these filmmakers that we really love, that they take from people that they loved before that. And that's what their voice eventually became. And so with this film, I wanted to take moments from movies that I just thought worked perfectly and just put them to the machine of the dream world that I wanted to create. And, moments like the FaceTime, we have a FaceTime sequence for those who haven't seen the film that is a sort of very strong homage to the phone conversation in When Harry Met Sally, where they do this sort of four-way split screen. And that's kind of the perfect version of all right, you're taking something, you're honoring it, hopefully, and you're still inventing your own voice, and you're still figuring that out. Because I do think our movie tonally is still, it's very fairy tale. It's very, different than When Harry Met Sally or You've Got Mail or No Strings Attached, but it's still, it has the DNA of those films embedded in it.
I think that's true. I think that there's a pseudo dream version of New York in there somewhere, almost like a Woody Allen version of Manhattan somewhere in there that is you've lovingly put together, and I got to commend you for that, Jonah, because I know that was probably not very easy to do at all. So I got to commend you on that. I really think that this was one of my favorite movies coming out of Tribeca, and that says something because some of the stuff we saw at Tribeca was absolutely fantastic. But this one stuck with me, man.
That's cool. Wow, that's an honor. What a cool festival to be a part of, and like what a year for movies that they picked, and just the narrative of the festival existing in New York, especially after the pandemic, being able to have everyone come together. I mean, Tribeca to me is biasly, my favorite film festival, because I think they really made it also very fun for critics and film fans to participate from home, which is a whole new thing that I think we got really lucky with, because I would love nothing more than someone in Nebraska to participate, to be able to go to the Tribeca Film Festival on their screen and watch the interviews and feel like they're there, even though they don't have to travel to New York. So
yeah, that was one of the things for me that was super paramount, was I didn't want to have to leave Vegas to go see this movie, and it was available right from my living room, and I am so happy to have watched it in my living room with surrounded by people that I love, and all of us laughing at the fantastic script that you put together, and all of us laughing at these characters that were at certain points irredeemably millennial, and at other points charmingly millennial. You know. I got to commend you, because that's a gutsy move, Jonah. That's a gutsy move to allow your film to be seen in living rooms from critics, nationwide. I know not every film got that luxury, and I really think that every film should have, because I think that there was a merit to that. We talked about your film. I think it's a great film, and I'm going to be giving it a sterling review because it's fantastic. But I wanted to ask you about you.
Well,
we talked about how you took from some of your inspirations, but I wanted to ask you directly, who are some directors, actors that you look at as inspirations?
That's a really wonderful question. For me, it's anyone, and I'll get more specific, but the blanket statement is people where I can tell that they created this film or show simply by watching, looking at a frame or watching or listening to a line of dialogue. So off the bat, I love auteurs. I love filmmakers that put their life into the story, into the technique, into the style of the movie. So instantly, it's cliche, but Spielberg is one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. Nora Ephron in the close second.
Great.
More contemporary. Yeah, Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach and their collaborations, and Taika Waititi, and these are sort of some obvious ones, but I'll even go to Anne Fletcher, who directed 27 Dresses and the Ryan Reynolds movie. Why am I blanking? The Ryan Reynolds and was it The Proposal? The Proposal. And
yes.
I love her. You look at those films. I went on an Anne Fletcher deep dive, and I was like, no one's looking at these movies from a director-first standpoint, but there are so many not consistent things that she is doing with these multi-million-dollar rom-coms that makes them elevated. So, when I look to go create my own voice as an artist, I am watching the works of those folks and seeing how do they put themselves in front of the camera as a director.
I think that I can tell where you pulled from Anne Fletcher, particularly with Jabuki's character, because oftentimes in Anne Fletcher movies, her main character is not the most likable person at the start, but then you gain that sort of respect for the character, and I think that might have been the main influence there for Jabuki's character. If I'm wrong, let me know I'm wrong, but that's what I'm looking at when I'm looking at that movie, for sure.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And by the way, you're absolutely right.
Nice. Sometimes I'm paying attention. Sometimes we're good at this. One of the things that I loved about your film, like I said, is I'm a huge rom-com guy. So for me, and me loving the history of this genre and where it has come back when it was originally a screwball comedy, I love watching the evolution of this genre. I wanted to ask you, and this is the hardest question I ask anybody who we get the pleasure of talking to. If you were stuck on a desert island and there was only 2 movies that you had to watch on repeat for the rest of your life, what 2 films would you take and why?
Oh my gosh. Here we go. Okay. Oh boy. Okay. Let's do this. For me, there's a film called, yeah, you have me in a panic attack here. It's not gonna. I would normally say my favorite movie of all time is a film called Hook, which I've gone thoroughly on the record of saying is like the reason I make movies. But I actually don't know if it'd be the movie I'd bring to the island. I think it would be a movie called L.A. Story with Steve Martin.
Yeah.
That I just love. Yeah, love that film. And then here's a real one that I haven't really said, but I think I would do it because I just love studying this movie. It's a film called Day for Night. It's French New Wave, Criterion Collection. Are you familiar with?
I've heard of the movie.
At all?
Have not seen it. You're the first answer that I've ever not seen.
It's a Truffaut film. It's a fantastic movie. It's basically about a director trying to make a movie, and it's meta, but it's inventive, and it's very entertaining, and it's a movie that similar to the way that I enjoy films, and here's a real wild card. There's a movie called Emperor's New Groove that I really love. That's sort of this meta take on fairy tale structure set to the backdrop of David Spade being a llama. And I look at that film, I'm like, this is a really inventive storytelling film because they go all around the story with a narrator. And I don't know, I love that kind of stuff. And I think Day for Night, this is, again, an insane comparison, but Day for Night is like the OG version of a film about a film and, a fairy tale about a fairy tale. Like I like meta, and I think Day for Night invented meta.
I think that's pretty sweet. I've never seen that one. I can't say that I've seen that film, but I'm definitely going to be checking it out now. I was looking at your filmography, and it is quite obvious that you love Hook. You made a short film called Bangarang, right?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Yeah, you can see right there that the Hook influence.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to meet Dante Basco, who played Rufio, and I'm just a fan of making. I mean, I grew up watching Star Wars fan films on, what was it, videocopilot.net or Star Wars, what was it? I think it was called fanfilms.net. And like Ryan versus Dorkman. This is super old, deep cut. I don't know if you ever remember that Star Wars short film, Ryan versus Dorkman, but yeah. So you remember that? So like I grew up with those kind of films, and like that's what you would go make with your friends. And so I wanted to do that with Hook. I wanted to go make a Hook short film, and I happened to meet Dante, and we were able to go out and make something, which was a dream come true.
Actually, a friend of I met him. He's a wonderful man.
Wonderful, I love that.
Wonderful man.
He's an amazing person.
I love that you're a film lover, Jonah. Because so often I talk to directors and they don't appreciate films outside of the normal Criterion type of stuff. But I mean, we're here talking about 27 Dresses, which is not a great film, but also pretty dang good. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I respect and appreciate that.
Oh, well, that's because we're fans. I mean, you gotta. What else do we do this for if not to lock ourselves in a couch or in a theater and sit back and escape into this world that a filmmaker has created for us?
Exactly.
That's why I love it.
That is exactly it, Jonah. That is my dream to be able to go to a film, enter a world that's not my own, even if it's a pseudo version of the world I live in. It's better than the one I'm in, and that's the escapism that film brings. I think that people forget that sometimes. I think that gets lost.
We agree with you.
And I love that. And I just wanted to mention this film does come out. When is it? This week?
It comes out tomorrow.
That's perfect. Okay, so if it comes out tomorrow, everybody needs to do themselves a favor, and they need to watch Dating in New York, because this film, and I'm telling you guys this from the bottom of my heart, is full of heart, full of love, and so well and done and so refreshing. And I have to commend Jonah and his cast for that, because so oftentimes when I'm watching a film, especially a romantic comedy, I don't get a refreshed feeling. I get the same old. And I like that you took the mold of Nora Ephron and of Anne Fletcher, and you took that mold and you said, you know what, that's cool, but let's do this instead. And you really put together something that I think is one of my favorite films of the year. So thank you so much, Jonah, for that.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm blushing and I'm honored, and I thank you for bringing awareness to the movie. I mean, that's
I will
all I could ask
sing
for.
your praises until the cows come home about how cool this movie is and how great your cast is in this movie. So thank you for that. I wanted to give you time to tell people why they need to check out Dating in New York.
Awesome. So thank you. Well, what I'll start with is that first and foremost, I think the most important thing is that we support indie cinema. This movie was not made by a studio, a production company. This was myself and an incredibly talented group of other filmmakers and actors coming together on a budget to tell a story together, to be in the same place at the same time for X amount of days and work their asses off. And it's also cool because my crew owns part of the movie. So my editor owns a percentage. My DP owns a percentage. So when you are going to see it, when you're going to rent it on iTunes, you are helping these artists and you are supporting indie cinema in its purest form. That's my business pitch. My creative pitch is that if I want this to be your comfort movie, I want you to, this is candy, and this is something that hopefully you will relate to, or you will open your eyes to a world of the way that modern romance is shaping out to be, and that you'll enjoy. And it will, at least, in the same way that your favorite movie helps you escape your reality, I do hope that this film is able to do the same thing for you. And let it be also a sign that, to the filmmakers listening to this, you can go out there and make your movie as well. It's 2 years ago, I couldn't have possibly dreamed of having a film on the big screen, and now here we are. So let it act as inspiration in that capacity as well.
Perfectly said. Everybody, rent Dating in New York tomorrow when it comes out. It's an hour and 31 minutes. It's somehow PG-13, but so worth it, your time and your efforts at only 91 minutes. It's a great little package, and Jonah and his crew have absolutely killed it. Everybody needs to go out and check out Dating in New York. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, Jonah. I appreciate your time because I know you're a busy guy and you got a lot of interviews to do. So I appreciate you taking time out of your day to speak with us. You're the man, and we appreciate your film.
You're the man, and I got a big smile here, and I appreciate you covering the movie, and I hope to have this conversation for many years to come.
It's not a problem at all. We look forward to writing that review today and getting this interview posted up, and we're going to take the audio and use it on the YouTubes, and hopefully everybody enjoys hearing your wonderful voice and about this great film, man. And I appreciate you.